Hi, I'm going to try to do a tutorial here on a song called Heart-Shaped Box by Nirvana. And the reason I'm doing this tutorial is not because there's probably a million tutorials on how to play the basic song, but as a piano player, we're missing something when it comes to songs like this, because these songs are usually played on electric guitars, run through tube amplifiers or overdrive pedals or distortion boxes or whatever. Guitar players have a lot of tricks up their sleeves to make basic triads sound crazy, beautiful, wonderful. There's things that guitar players can do with all their effects that make a simple triad much more interesting than it sounds on the piano. So we're going to try to add a few extra notes here to the piano arrangement of it. I did a recording of the song a couple of weeks ago as an improv sort of thing. This is me trying to explain how you can use whatever information I have figured out by messing around with the chords to make the chords a little bit more interesting. So the basics, in your left hand, you probably just like run what the guitar does in the intro. Like, that's pretty simple and it makes sense. It's a G sharp power chord, and that's G sharp and D sharp are the two notes of that power chord. It's just a 2-note chord. And then for your E power chord, it's just E and B. And for your C sharp power chord, it's just C sharp and G sharp. I'm adding the octave on top, obviously. So that part can be just exactly what it sounds like on the recording, and that's fine. So what do we have for a melody? So that suggests to me that it's kind of we didn't hear an E, but that's pretty much the scale of B. And since the left hand plays the E as their second chord, I'm going to say it's the key of B or the key of G sharp minor. And G sharp minor, the natural scale would be the key of B. So there we go. It's a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7 octave of a G sharp. So there we go. Nice G sharp minor. So our first chord definitely could easily be a G sharp minor chord. And then we get to the E chord, and the melody is B. So we could play an E major chord, right? Now this C sharp chord, now we're not 100% sure of whether this is a minor or a major chord, so we could play a minor. Doesn't really sound right as far as the song is concerned with me. Let's wait until the next go around to get so a second time we get to the G sharp, we're on a B, so that's definitely a G sharp minor chord. And then the second time we get to the E chord, we're on the G sharp, so there's your major third of the E chord. And now we have this melody that I'm not sure if the guitar plays it. That thing definitely establishes that C sharp chord is a dominant chord, because we have the root, the fifth root again, and over here we have the major third and the flatted sevenths. So our three chords, because it's basically the same three chords for the whole song, the three chords are a G sharp minor chord, an E major chord, and a C sharp dominant seventh chord. Simple enough. Okay, now how do we add a little bit of information for the piano? This minor chord sounds nice, but what if we add the major 6 of this minor chord, which takes it out of the scale that we're in, but that note is going to happen in our C sharp dominant 7th chord, right? So we're maybe foreshadowing at the dominant 7th that's coming up. Okay, so we can play a G sharp minor 6 chord in the beginning, Now when we get to the E chord, the simple major 7 sounds like that, but what if we were to take the simple major chord sounds like that, but what if we take the major 7 and the 9th and add those two in there? So we get this. We put the major 7 and the 9 underneath the melody. Okay, and then we do the C sharp chord. We obviously just play a big C sharp dominant with a 9th because the melody is on the 9th. So we have with a C sharp, the E sharp or F natural, depending on if you understand the key signature that we're in. We would definitely call these two notes E and E sharp because they keep switching back and forth in the song. So we're going to call this, we'll just call it a C sharp dominant 7th chord, and whether you call this note an E sharp or an F, that's the note. And G sharp and B and D sharp for that chord. And then we come back down and we do an inversion of that same thing that we just played. So we have the D sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and B, or D sharp, F, G sharp, and B, whichever one you want to call it. So now we go back to our G sharp minor 6th chord. And now we change that to an E major 7, 9. And then we hit the C sharp dominant chord. So it's a very simple thing. Our G sharp chords, G sharp minor chords, we're just gonna add that major 6th, and the E chords, we're gonna add the major 7 and the 9, and we want to add them underneath the melody because they're not gonna sound good on top of the melody. And then this, I think I just played the wrong chord at the wrong time. When we get to the chorus, it's pretty much the same thing. So we have the hey, hey, hey. So the first hey is just the B, D sharp, E sharp, and G sharp. Now when we get to the E chord, that first chord was on the G sharp minor chord. And now we did our second hey length. We just moved this note over to this. If you want to think of it, it's kind of, it's just the middle note moving. For this E sharp moves to an F sharp. But our bass note moves down to an E natural. That's just the same thing we have from before. So we have the G sharp minor chord has the F natural or E sharp in it. And the E chord has the F sharp in it. And that's just what's in the regular song. So we don't have to do anything crazy with that. And then it's more of the same from what we had before. Right, so basically all this is three basic chords that you can add a little bit of extra stuff to. When you play the G sharp minor chord, add the major 6th. When you play the E major chord, add the major 9th and major 7th. And when you play, or natural 9th, I guess, And when you play the C sharp dominant chord, just play a C sharp dominant 9, or yeah, it's basically the notes of it. And interestingly, this is the one last thing I'm going to say about this, I hope, except for that there is a tag ending at the end of the song where you just go back and forth between the C sharp and the E major, C sharp, A, E major. But the notes of the C sharp dominant, the upper notes of the C sharp dominant chord are the same upper notes that you're going to play on your G sharp minor 9 chord, or G sharp minor 6 chord. So they're just inversions of the same thing. So well, if I played the right notes, that would be good. So in any case, they're just simple additions to the chords that already exist in the recording of in the original recording. We're just trying to make the piano a little bit richer, because simple triads can sometimes have they lack the whatever that you want, if you want the chords to have a richer sound. So that's it, and I hope you enjoyed my babbling about all this, and if not, there'll be more improvs coming up. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to like and subscribe. For further ways to support the channel, there are links in the description to my music on Spotify and iTunes. If you would like to become a patron, there are also links there to my PayPal and Venmo. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.